This video is on how to do the cable banded hat. You can either make it with a self-striping yarn, variegated yarn, or a solid yarn. You can use a regular cable, or in this case a horseshoe cable. We also added a few extra rows of pearl for additional character on the top of the hat. Or you can do it with two contrasting colors. This one was a silver dollar cable. In the future I'll be doing a video on how to do each of these individual cables. To start with, we're going to show how the band starts with the horseshoe cable. You cast on the required amount of stitches that the pattern specifies. You can either knit it on a double pointed needle, or you can knit it on a circular needle. It's entirely up to you which way you want to knit it. To start with, to do the cable part, you would knit the first 4 stitches. You would purl the next stitch, which gives you a little bit of definition between your end garter stitch and your inside cable stitch. You would pick up your cable stitch holder. You place the first 2 on the holder and place them in back. Knit the next 2. This is what they would consider a 2x2. Then you would knit the 2 on the cable needle. The next 4, you would pick up the first 2, place them in front of your work, knit the next 2, and then knit the 2 off of the cable needle. Purl the next stitch, and then knit the last 4. When you turn your work, you would follow the same pattern as you do for all the back stitches. You would knit 5, purl 8, knit 5. This is done on a 6-row pattern, the 6th row being the cable twist roll. And you would continue in this pattern until you have a 17-inch long band. And this would be the band you'd either use as the ear warmers, or adding the stitches to pick up for the top of the hat, and then you would have a hat. So it's entirely up to you whether you want to do ear warmers or a completed hat. Once you complete the final stitch, when you turn it around, there's your cable twist. The other one you can do easily is the standard cable. Same thing. In this case, we knit 5. And then purl 1, because we always put that purl stitch between our cables and our garter stitch border. Oops, one too many. Now we'll do our cable, where in this case it's 3 over 3, so you pick up the first 3 stitches, place them in back of your work. You just hold it with your hands. Then knit the next 3. Purl the 3 off your cable stitch holder. Purl 1. Knit to the end. Since this is the last one, which makes this piece 17 inches, I would do just 2 more rolls, and then you bind off. I'll show you that once I get these 2 rows done real quick. So in this case, we're going to knit 6, purl 6, knit 6. And that will give us our back, or row 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 pattern for the entire piece. And it's also a 6-row repeat. 6th row being the cable twist roll. Okay, after I finish this, we'll say this is our completed pattern, which actually there's 2 more rows to it. But you would complete your pattern. Then you would bind off knit ways. So knit 2 stitches, pick up the first stitch, carry it over the second, drop it off, knit the next stitch. So now you have 2 on your needle again. Pick up the first stitch, take it over, drop it off. Now you're back down to 1. Knit 1, pass 1 over, knit 1, pass 1 over. Now you don't want to make this too tight. You just want it at a nice, even, smooth cast off. That way there's no tugging or pulling on this part of the hat. Just a few more stitches and we will be there. You can bind it off on the front side. You can bind it off on the back side. It doesn't really matter because this is all going to be sewn into the hem. You could also do a provisional cast on the bottom and leave live stitches on the top. Do the Kitchener, then you won't have a seam. It'll be seamless. And after you get this done, of course, then you would run your thread through or your tail through and finish it off. At this point you would have a band that's 17 inches long. You would sew it together using your tail. So you would have this piece. Once you do this, you would pick up your circular needles. Pretend we've got it hooked together. Pick up the first stitch between the bumps, because you want to pick up your stitches between the bumps on the front side. So here there's 2, plus the first one makes 3. You want to have 1 pickup between every single bump. And you would do this all the way around, which we have here. As you can see, it's sewn together, and we've picked up all the way around. First row. Second row is a purl row. This is where you get your little creative edge, which you have here. Without this, the piece looks a little odd, so you just want to do a roll of purls. After you complete your roll of purls, then you want to start knitting in the round. On your very first roll of knit stitches, you want to make sure you have 56 stitches, because it needs an even amount of stitches to bind off in counts of 8. This one I've counted, I've got 54 stitches, so after I finish this purl round and I get started on my first knit round, I want to do 2 increased stitches evenly spaced on either side, so the bind off would be very smooth. You can either pick up with the same yarn, or you can actually pick up with a contrasting yarn or matching yarn. So either way you do it, you'll have a nice neat looking hat or a set of ear warmers.